Welcome to the Climbing Gym Growth Podcast, where we share stories and strategies from climbing gym owners to help you grow your communities and businesses. Today, we have Brad Mathisen and Jesse Cheers from Appalachian Bouldering Center in Bristol, Tennessee, joining us for our first ever Climbing Gym Growth Podcast episode. Thanks for joining, guys.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm stoked to have you here. I'm stoked to hear about how you guys started and how you've grown over the past few years. How long has the gym been open for?
We opened September 2nd of 2023. So we're celebrating our 2-year here in a couple weeks. So looking forward to that.
Nice. Are you guys throwing a party?
Yeah. So we have found that, there's not like a huge community of climbers here pre-gym. So, when we started doing events at the beginning, like we did Real Rock, nobody knew what Real Rock was. Like me and Brad, I think Brad introduced me to Real Rock, and ever since those, I'm like always look forward to those coming out. And so, we'd put events on, and every time we've done an event or like even like a small something like a kilter comp or dyno comp, people love it and show up in full support. So we're going to do a kilter comp again for the 2-year. Got some t-shirts coming, some good promo for discounted memberships for the years, some other little things.
Awesome. So how many owners are there, and where'd you guys meet? How'd you decide to open a climbing gym?
Brad, feel free to jump in at any point, but
Yeah,
there's 4 of us, me, Brad, Aaron, and Matt. We honestly were all friends before we were ever thinking about a climbing gym. And sometimes it's like kind of crazy to think that we're here with a climbing gym at this point. Like, it's like we just love climbing and there was a need for it in our area. And the first time I ever met Brad to go climbing with Brad, I was running about an hour late and I was driving way too fast, and I passed a cop doing about 20 over. And then I knew a gravel road that I could go up and over a mountain, and I didn't get a ticket, but I was 2 hours late to meet Brad.
So funny. Yeah, we were talking before we started that Brad is a very, very rare boulderer, which is weird because ABC is a bouldering facility. Brad, how did you get involved in opening a bouldering only facility?
Like what Jesse was saying is like the 4 of us really do a lot of climbing development in the area as well. Our area is rock rich and climber poor. So there's like everywhere we go, there's tons of new rock and nobody to climb it. So the 4 of us, along with like 4 or 5 other guys, run a nonprofit for the Central Appalachia Climbers Coalition to like help keep those areas open. And so we've really done a lot of the work locally to open the outdoor climbing for the past 10 years. And we're always like, oh man, it would be great if there was a hub for these people to get together and a hub to sort of develop new climbers to actually use these areas. Cause I'm like, in the last 10 years, I'm sure Aaron and Jesse and Matt have collectively put up 2,000 boulder problems maybe. And there's probably been 500 or 600 new routes put up in the last 10 years within an hour and a half of our area by me and just a couple other guys. And so, yeah, we were always like, man, it would be great if there was a hub for these people to meet. As much as I might not like to admit it, bouldering is the easiest way to train. It's the easiest way to build a community. And the easiest way to get people into climbing because you don't really have to have any gear or like have a partner or whatever. You just kind of show up and you can be there. So a bouldering gym, I mean, there's a lot of reasons it works better as a business, but it's great for building community as well. Because everybody can kind of just come and hang out. You don't have to come with somebody specifically. It's an easy place to meet people. I said we run the nonprofit. Usually trail days previous to the gym were just the 10 or 12 of us that were involved in the nonprofit, like dragging ourselves out and being like, I guess we'll build another trail by ourselves. And I think at the last trail day we did at the breaks, we had like 40 people and most of them found out about it through the gym. So we're really just tricking people into free labor for us.
It's all a ploy. Get them to help you develop more routes.
We just need other people to build trails so that we can go climbing more.
It's so interesting you say that because like I feel I'm in the New England area and it's like the complete opposite. There's so many climbers and so little outdoor climbing. So it's really cool to hear that you have the opposite situation and that you're sort of creating this pipeline to get people to experience what you're experiencing and like feel the joy of outdoor climbing.
Like I remember early on when this still kind of happens, but there's certain areas that we'll go climbing. And I remember you would just never see anybody out there. And then there was this one time that this group of guys came up from Asheville. I had never seen anybody at this crag before, but we like put some things on Mountain Project and they saw it and came up. And then I like jumped on like, who are you? Where are you from? Way over stoker about having other people there. And they're like, we're not coming back. This dude's weird. And they just they're like, we're out. So
Cool to see too, like this summer, it seems like a ton of folks have been getting out in groups. And like last year they did quite a bit as well. But like this year, it's like, it's neat because a lot of that's happening without me, Brad, or the other owners. And so it's like people within the gym, but like getting out on their own and really checking out places that we love and, seeing that grow and connecting those people with the local resources we have. Cause, it's really neat when there's people in the area that find new appreciation for some like an area that maybe otherwise they weren't as stoked on. And it's like, it's like one thing for people to fall in love with the gym, but also to be like, hey, Southwest Virginia, Northeast Tennessee is like really pretty and there's tons of climbing and that's not everywhere. So it's a pretty special place to be.
Imagine that like your retention is probably higher than most climbing gyms because you're not only converting them to like climbers, you're converting them to outdoor climbers, which like is a whole nother level of commitment to the sport.
To what Jesse was saying, it's not only connection with climbing, but it's like reconnection with the area.
Mhm.
Jesse is a pretty good photographer, and we have a bunch of like large prints hanging in the gym, and every one of them is a local climbing area that we've developed. And so when
Nice.
new people come in, they see these pictures, they're like, oh, where's that? We're like, oh, that's like a half hour away at this area. And they're like, where's that one? We're like, oh, that one's like an hour away at this area. And they're like, these are all local. And people are kind of shocked by that. They're like, there's this much climbing. And we can tell people, yeah, these are all local resources that you can drive to, day trip to easily. And not only is climbing seem like a cooler activity then, but the area itself seems like a better place to, live and settle down and whatever.
Right. Yeah. You're just like highlighting the beautiful gems that are around you that no one's aware of. So they can like kind of re-envision their own hometown. So any like big surprises that you guys ran into when you were opening your gym, things that just completely surprised you or didn't anticipate?
I guess for me, like, I think like our team was really awesome and like our team having, I don't know if every gym opens where they have like, 4 friends that are kind of uniquely bring something really good to the table. But like, I think that between the 4 of us, we all have like strengths that all complement each other. And, if any one of us is at the gym at any time, like the gym's in good hands. And me and Brad were on the ground a lot when we were getting the gym open, and from doing demo to helping build the wall to problem solving things when everything was going wrong. And then like, our contractor was one of the more challenging parts of the whole process. But as a team, like us 4 together, brainstorming and bouncing things off of each other, we all, as a group of 4, came up with like good solutions to things.
Yeah. So it was the general contractor in like the local area that you hired was kind of
He was
unsure
great.
about certain things.
It's one of those things where we didn't, when we first met him, he was great on paper. And it wasn't like we, didn't meet with him several times before we did any sort of contract. I will say one thing we learned is that before I sign another contract with a contractor, I would make sure there's certain things that we kind of didn't necessarily have. And then there were several times where
do you have an example of something you would have added, I guess?
like for one thing is like the like scope of work being as detailed as possible, because there was a lot of times where he would say things but we didn't have it written down anywhere. And so it's like he would say there was something he would do and we took it as his word there kind of thing. And it like that was included in the overarching price, but then it wasn't like when it came time to doing it, that wasn't included. And it was like, oh, that'll be another thing. And I just think like
Yeah.
it was a newer contractor. He was kind of getting off the ground. We were getting off the ground. We thought it was a good fit. We've talked about it. That was one of the more challenging parts, but we learned a lot from that situation. And ultimately, like we got everything finished in time. There was some stress and unneeded stress and headache probably in the long term, but we did learn a lot through that process. So It's kind of a hard way to learn, but we definitely learned. We're about to do like an addition to the gym, and now it's like we actually have people in the gym and that are contractors and we have good relationships with. So we think this time it's like, hey, like let's learn from that last time, and now we have people we know probably even better now to do the work for us. So
Great.
move forward with them, kind of thing.
Yeah, so it sounds like you said Aaron Parlier is one of your co-owners and he already owns a gym, so he probably helped you along the process. I know that Brad has a background in construction as well, so I imagine with your powers combined, you were able to persevere through all the hiccups along the way.
Brad, I I like Brad's style. We'll just kind of get things done, you know. Brad would
Just some
have
like
the
duct tape or whatever you got lying around.
this sounds terrible, but Brad was the if he said it was safe and okay to do, we'd do it. We did some demo and we did we renovated the office I'm in now, and you know, we did quite a bit of work on our own just to save money, and ultimately I think that really helped, and we ended up
Yeah,
coming under budget
the,
like on our loans, and I'd say a big portion of that would be because we did a lot of the work ourselves.
That's great. Yeah.
yeah, the building the gym is in was an old like upholstery factory. I think they made tractor seats and stuff like that. Uh, and so it was just a big mess when we moved in. It was just a big empty space, but I mean, it looked more like it just kind of looked like a dump. And so we did a lot of demo ourselves. The first day we were in there, the first or second day we were in there, there was like a elevated office building, and we were like, well, we're not going to need, it was inside the main building. We're like, we're not going to need this. It's not really structurally sound
It
anyway.
wasn't
So,
structural at all.
so we like took a few things apart, you know, it's like standing up on posts. We took a
God.
few things out like windows, and like we tried to be careful. And then I was like, you know, I bet if we just hooked a chain up to this thing, you and I could just pull the whole thing over. So it was this like 12 by 12 room.
You just toppled it.
You know, yeah, we knocked out a couple posts and then just like yanked the whole thing over,
Yeah.
which was probably not like the safest thing, but it, you know, worked out. It's
But
quicker.
it worked. Nice.
Mm.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah,
heard
I
it
think
here, guys. Just knock it over.
yeah, do the
That's all
work
I need.
yourself.
Oh.
Push it over. I think, yeah, speaking of the contractor, I think like one of the things that was like stressful opening was just like there's a lot of moving parts between like the wall builder and the pads and the holds and the inspection from the city and all these different things that kind of have to come together at the right part. And if one of those pieces, and for us it was the contractor, isn't keeping in line with what they do, it can kind of throw all those other things haywire. And I think I've heard a lot of gyms, at least there was a gym actually I was trying to open up nearby, that the reason they didn't end up opening up was they just didn't have those things ordered out, and they ended up failing inspections and this and that, and it didn't work out. And so
Oh, was it a
yeah,
climbing gym?
it was
Mhm.
trying to be,
Wow. And they just
and
gave up.
they would have been like a half hour away from us, but
Wow.
yeah, they had a slightly different vibe, but it didn't end up working out for them. And so it can like, you know, things can fall apart if you're not paying attention. Like Jesse said, I'd be way more specific with a contract and be like, these are the dates. You like set specific checkpoints along the way that if you're not meeting these deadlines, then, you know, have some sort of consequence written into the contract.
Mhm.
Because particularly wall builders, like it seemed like the wall builders have like a 8 month to 1 year lead time.
Mhm.
And if you miss your slot, like they're just going to move on to the next gen because they're
And
trying to keep their right. Yeah, you get pushed in the back of
Yep,
the
the
line.
back of the line, yeah.
we got very fortunate, but it very easily one or two things could have gone wrong, and this time like building worked out, and like we were fortunate the building owner, he was patient enough to wait on us to get everything in place to get a loan, and the wall manufacturer too was like very fortunate that they kind of worked with us even as we were trying to secure that loan, and it just everything kind of came together all at once, and we were definitely still doing the work. You know, we opened on September 2nd, and I think we learned how to use our software on September 2nd because me and Brad and Matt and Aaron were still doing work that morning, getting the building ready
Wow.
for a grand opening. So
And
it
so
was
your wall builder was
on site.
on site? Okay.
Yeah, they were great.
Mhm.
They came in. they were pretty timely on everything. You know, they said they were going to come at this point, and they sent out 2 people. We ended up helping them install the wall. We did a lot of the work with ultimately 1 or 2 guys to save some money on our end.
That's great.
And it was overall, like, I can't say anything negative. They were great the whole time. So
Awesome. Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk about new members. Kind of, I want to know, we've been open for 2 years. So what methods did you use when you first started to bring people into the facility? You said there's a lot of people that weren't necessarily climbers in the area. Did you guys do like local outreach, events, partnerships? What kind of things did you try when you first started?
You know, it's kind of wild to think, but like we've not really spent a ton of money on marketing. I built a website for us, and then like I continue to do our Facebook and Instagram. Luckily, like our local news outlets have asked us to be on quite often. I mean, they tell us pretty much if we have an event, let them know, and they put us on there. So that's kind of great from them. We've done it's a lot of it's like been word of mouth, and then
So Jesse, are you
we
like
did
a
like
famous TV star in the area then? You
Well,
walk
we
down the
do,
street,
yeah.
people stop you?
no.
We do utilize like the free TV thing. I think is pretty clutch. Like Matt has a connection with somebody, like one of the reporters, which is helpful. But we've had a couple different like just local TV stations, and like when it was the Olympics was coming on, we were like, hey, do you want us to just teach about climbing in the Olympics? But we use that opportunity to really just market the gym. Or we've had
Yeah.
the TV station came and did something for a local high school, like here's local entrepreneurs. And so they made like a spot it was for like a high school class or something, where
Oh,
they
that's
talked
awesome.
Yeah.
about
Bristol
Jesse
Youth
and Matt
Leaders.
as, because they're both from Bristol, like Bristol area entrepreneurs. And so
Wow.
it's all just sort of like free marketing to us. So we just never pass up those opportunities.
Yeah, what did you guys do for the Olympics? I'm curious. Did you create a video about like the rules or like demo a climb? What was that kind of like?
It was just different sports that are in the Olympics and like
Hmm.
how you could do that around the area. I can't remember if Matt reached out to them or we reached out or how that came to be, but pretty much me and Brad went on there and they asked us, you know, it's like a 10-minute segment. And they just ask us questions about format. And that was back when it was like speed, boulder, and sport were all combined in one, kind of just explaining the differences there. And it was neat, like talking about that. And then also just explaining that, like, you know, our gym, there could be an Olympic level athlete that could come out of this gym. It's like, all you need is a space like this to you know, become a great climber. So,
That's awesome.
and
That's cool.
funny enough, we've actually we had Jesse Grouper come in shortly after that. And he competed in the Olympics and he came in last fall and was in the area for a little bit.
Yeah, cool. So you guys been open for 2 years. How many members do you guys have now?
Like 300,
And how
around
big is the
300. Yeah.
facility?
We're 12,000 square feet with 3,000 square foot of bouldering, plus kilter board and weights and campus board.
Have you changed your process for getting new members over the past couple of years, or do you feel like it's sort of stayed the same?
We kind of been evaluating that. Like
Mm.
we kind of hit a lot of our goals pretty early on. Like our day one opening, we were pretty floored with the turnout. I did videos as like leading up, just like, you know, short little 30-second, 1 minute videos of like us building the wall and like probably like 3 or 4 months leading up to the gym. Pretty much when we bought the building is when I started like marketing that we were going to open. But I mean, that was a good ways before we ever got to September. I think that was like in April. So like I marketed all summer and like it was really cool. Like we'd have days where it was like, hey, we need help. You know, this is a pretty tedious job. And if we had 10 hands, it'd be really helpful. And then we'd have 20 people show up. And so word of mouth kind of grew from there. And then the day we all laugh because, you know, Aaron knows the Rock Gym Pro. Like when I say we didn't know Rock Gym Pro the day we open, it's like 30 minutes before we
Oh
open. And
my
Aaron's
gosh.
like, hey, let me show you guys how to do this. We'll learn throughout the day. And so he's like, all right, let me show you how to check somebody in. He's like, let's see if anybody's like pre-filled out a waiver. And like he opens the list and it's just like,
Oh
and
my
we're like, oh
God.
crap. And then like I think we opened at like 2 or 3 that day or whatever time we opened. Like there was instantly a line out the door into our parking lot, and Aaron just pretty much had to take over because me, Brad, and Matt were like, like sitting there like clicking buttons, like
Yeah.
not knowing what the heck to do. It's like, sign us up for a membership. Well, that'd take us 15 minutes because we didn't know what we were doing. But
Much.
so Aaron kind of took charge there, and me, Matt, and Brad just kind of took over doing orientations. And that opening day, I think we had like 200 or 300 people through the door. It was insane.
Wow. And had you processed memberships before opening, or were you just like doing them on the spot?
No, we had our buddies,
Oh my
like our
gosh.
buddy Emmett, shout out Emmett O'Brien, first member ever. He was
Yeah.
like, I want to be y'all's first member. And so, if it was one of our friends or something, I think we promoted that, like, we did a soft opening. And so during that week, like if we happened to be at the gym working on stuff, people could stop by, and we had a few of that. But then like that day we surpassed like, I think our like one of our goals was like 100 members, and I think we had 100 members within the first week, which was cool.
Wow. That's incredible.
I think one of the things our gym does very, very well is just a good community vibe and connection between the members and a connection of the members with the gym. I mean, we don't have any real competition in the area as far as other gyms anyway, but I think people, when they walk in, they're like, this is my place as much as it is, Jesse's or mine. Like, people feel a sense of like home and ownership there. And even when I forgot that when we were building the gym or like building out the wall, people were just excited. The 20 or 30 climbers who did exist in the area, they were very excited. And rather than be like, no, this is our gym and we're going to hold it as like a product that you guys don't get to experience until it's built, like I said, no, if we need help, like come on in and help. We had people just drop off cases of beer. People came in and screwed panels to the walls. People helped us move in pads. And so we really invited people into even the building process if they wanted to do that. And I think those people are still part of the gym. And when they come in, they're like, I was a part of building this thing as well. And we treat them that way and they feel that way. And I think that it really shows in our community is it's not just our place, but it's everybody's in the community.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
sounds kind of like a co-op in some ways. Like they almost feel like they own the gym themselves.
I was gonna say, I was back replacing T-nuts on the wall last week, and a bunch of the panels have like people's signatures on them with like a date, like random people in the gym. I'm going up and down the panels replacing these T-nuts, and there's probably like 6 or 7 places that people had like left handprints or like written their name or whatever. I'm like, this is cool. Like it is a very community thing.
Yeah, and we've done, like, we're kind of protective of, like, we don't do any like events or anything during our normal hours kind of thing. Like, we don't do birthday parties during our normal hours. Our hours are pretty much 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. most days, and Sunday 1 to 7. And so during those times, like, it's pretty much members only. But that being said, like, if we have like someone in our community approach us about something and like they wanted to kind of take charge, then we definitely like have helped, encouraged, do whatever we can. Like, we have a girl that does yoga, teaches yoga classes out of here Sunday mornings before we open. There's a bluegrass group that gets together and does some picking. We kind of let them kind of
Oh,
do
that's
whenever
cool.
they want, just because they're cool. And they generally sit out on the front porch or like our side little area. We had a stand-up comedian come. Like, there's a group that came and set up, and those were all like non-climbers. It's just like people, like, they approached me and were like, hey, we just do stand-up, and they brought like 4 or 5 comedians at, I think it was like 9 o'clock on a Saturday, and we're here till 11.
That's amazing.
We've just done, like, if somebody wants to do something, within reason, we kind of support it. And it's been cool seeing that kind of stuff bring people to that might not otherwise go to a climbing gym.
Yeah, right. Just a local venue for your artists and whoever wants to show up. Cool. You mentioned that like you had maybe like 30 existing climbers in the area before the gym opened. So it sounds like you've like created hundreds of new climbers. Jesse, you said you're doing like Instagram, that kind of stuff. Do you feel like, what do you think the thing is that kind of enticed them to come in for the first time?
I think we all love climbing. I think it's like bouldering is such a weird sport to explain to people, especially like people that are so removed from the sport. Like, if you've never climbed before and you walk in, you're like, where's the ropes?
Hmm.
And so I think part of it is like we do have a pretty welcoming atmosphere here. Like we have really good employees. We're pretty fortunate. It would be weird. I can't imagine a situation where we couldn't like have good employees. Like it's like really easy for us. It's like this person's in the gym, they're in college. They probably like to get paid to climb once or twice a week kind of thing. And so we have really good employees, and we very much, have people give good orientations. And it's like, I always tell them, like, if it's somebody that's never climbed before, like, go the extra mile. It's like run them through what bouldering is, give like walk to the wall, give them a couple like techniques, walk away, let them kind of figure things out, go back to them in like, 20, 30 minutes, check back in. I think one of the cool things about our area, and I've heard, is like we have a good atmosphere. And I think a lot of that has to do with not ever having a lot of climber community here. Cause it's like if you were in a climbing community where, you have a bunch of super strong people and there's like already this community based place, it's like you don't really need to meet people. It's like you go into this where everybody's learning together. And so it's like, everybody's kind of has that humility of, oh, I got to suck at this for a while to get better. And, the people now that have been climbing here for 2 years see somebody new come in and they themselves have grown to love climbing. And we've all been helpful in their process to get to where they are. And so I think they pass that along to people, whether that be people on our staff or just people that are in the gym that we've very much taken the time to get to know. Cause I mean, I think, I've, in the last 2 years, I think I've climbed outside with more people than I have in my entire climbing career, just because there's so many people and like so fun to, get somebody psyched in the gym and then be like, hey, let's go outside. So, I mean, there's people that have been climbing here this morning that they've been here for 2 years. And I was like, how have we not all gotten outside? And so they're going to pick a day next week and we're going to get out. So
I love that. So it sounds like you kind of make their first experience the best possible experience it can be. And then after that
mhm.
point, they just connect with members that have been in the situations that they've been in. And then obviously you care a lot about your community and you're wanting to take them outdoors and build the connection even more. So, I mean, that sounds like the
Yeah.
perfect
Yeah.
recipe for like people sticking around for ever, you know?
Yeah, there's zero gatekeeping in our
Mm.
community, I would say. Like, it's not like you need to climb a certain level before you're like in the in group. And I think, some things that I think go along with that is like our head setter, Elijah Kaiser, is an excellent setter, but he's also just a good dude. And so he climbs V14, V15, and he'll hang out and just climb with anybody, whether they're climbing V2, V3. Looking at Elijah, you'd never be like, oh, you're a V15 climber. And he'll never tell you unless you see him in like a mellow video. And Aaron Parlier is the same way. Aaron climbs but he'll just sit and hang out and climb V2s with you all day. And
That's amazing. I
I
don't see
think
that
that,
very often. I'm a route setter myself, and I don't see a lot of route setters hanging out with like newer climbers and climbing with them,
yeah, no, I
especially.
think that that's like, and Jesse's at the gym, 5, 6 days a week. And also just having an owner present who it's clear that he loves the community. He wants to be there. He is just incredibly welcoming and inviting to everybody. I think that he sets that tone too. And people can tell they're like, it's not just like an inviting space, but it's an inviting community. If even the owner is just going to come and spend 20 minutes talking to me, like, I think that goes a longer way than maybe we even recognize ourselves. Just like having people who are heavily involved in the gym, connecting with everybody at every level. Everybody just, yeah, there's no gatekeeping or showboating or any of that. It's just all,
Yeah, and they get to see climbing at a high level too, which is wild, right? They're like climbing right next to someone
yeah,
who's like a world-class climber.
I think all our staff are climbing harder than us and they've been climbing for 2 years.
That's amazing, right? So you're creating like
Oh,
an environment. Yeah, totally.
fine. Yeah, we
yeah.
had
Super mutants.
one of our staff, Owen, he just left for college over in Boone, so we kind of lost him. But I mean, we give him a hard time because he's climbed V9, but he hasn't climbed V8 outside yet. So he's like within like a year and his first day on
That's
it. So
crazy.
he's a monster.
Wow.
I think a lot of it too,
Sorry.
though, is just like, we love climbing. It's not that like we didn't necessarily, I think we got into it for the right reasons. And it's not like we're necessarily like businessmen. I mean, we run the business, but we're very climbing focused first. And I want to be here even when I'm not technically working. I just want to be here hanging out. And Brad same way, Matt same way, Aaron same way. And it's like we all like to climb. We all like to get stronger, and we all like the community. And I think all those things work harmoniously. And I think it's really cool to see the folks in our area. But I also too think like not just us, I think just people, shout out to Appalachia. I think just people in this area, like welcoming nice folks in our area. So it's like they all play together.
A good
Right.
balance that we kind of naturally have that is like, yeah, there's probably things we could do to make more money and be more like hardcore business focused. I'm sure there are things we could be doing to make more money. But on the other end of that spectrum is when you are like so focused on the bottom line, you end up losing a lot of that community connection sometimes because you're making choices based on what's best for me rather than what's best for the community. And maybe we would make more money, but I think that this model gives us a little bit more longevity so that if gym did open up that was a competitor, I think that a lot of our community would stick with us because they're like, these people care about me, not just the business they're running. And so I think that those two things kind of end up like are on a spectrum of like bottom line business running and community development. And it's, we strike a decent balance in the middle. At least that's what we're hoping to.
Yeah,
And
and they
we
make
probably lean more towards towards community than making money most of the time on so far.
I mean, that's great. That means people are going to stick around, keep coming back. Like they identify as an ABC member, like exactly what you said. It's going to be hard for someone to come in and convert these people, right? Because they're just in love with you guys and in love with the gym. I can just tell by talking to you that you guys care so much about their experience, which is huge because some gyms don't, So I think it's amazing to hear that. As far as continuing to grow, are you guys trying to expand your community currently, or you feel like your gym's kind of at max capacity with 300 people? What is the goal there?
We are trying to grow, given everything we just said, knowing that all that comes first. Like,
Yeah.
we also too have certain milestones like we'd like to hit. And we had a meeting between the four of us not too long ago and kind of set some goals like of, here we are a year two, we've got on our feet. Like, what can we do now to grow our membership? What are ways that we can be more effective in getting more people in the gym, and like looking at the data from Rock Gym Pro and seeing like how can we use that to our advantage, and kind of getting more familiar with that and the analytics there. So
Yeah, I think in our like the meeting that we had, we do love our community and the members that we have. And so sometimes it's easy to sort of like rest on our laurels a little bit and be like, what we have is great. Our meeting was sort of just refocusing again and saying, like, okay, the members that we have are having a great experience. We need to remember that there are still new people coming in and to refocus on the experience of the new climber. So
Hmm.
things like making sure our like V zeros through V3s are both progressive. So it's not just like, oh, you climb a zero and then everything else is impossible.
Yeah.
They're progressive and interesting, not just a ladder of holds, but like somebody new would come up and be like, oh, it's really cool that I was able to do that thing that looked impossible or looked interesting and unique. So refocusing on those boulders. We started focusing a little bit more on youth programs. So whether that's teams or we opened up a bunch of new slots for camps this summer. We don't do birthday parties. We lose that marketing, if you will, but trying to get the kids who come for the week for the camp. Some kids are like, oh, this is just a camp. We didn't care. Like it was, my parents were just trying to get rid of me for a week. But other kids are like, no, we love this. Like we had one of the camps there like was like a little boulder bro crew where they would hang out for like an hour after the camp, just hit the kilter board. And now they come every Thursday and they've invited their early high school age, late middle school age. And they've brought their own crew because they're like kind of probably standard story, like they don't fit into normal sports. And this is like an alternative that they're bringing their friends in. So refocusing on youth and then trying to bring back some of the like bouldering for beginner classes and offer those at like hours and times that are more applicable to most people's schedules. We did a lot of bouldering for beginner classes early on and they went well. We kind of stopped them just because the scheduling got really weird. And we're trying to bring some of those classes back to give people, because a lot of times climbing seems really intimidating. And if you can just give people a class, even if you're not really teaching them, like they're not going to remember most of the techniques that you're going to talk about, but they just need someone to sort of hold their hand across the threshold. And then once they've experienced it once, they're going to be like, oh, this is great. And I want to come back. Um, Even another thing we just talked about, did we lose Chris? Says it's still recording. Maybe he'll text me here in a second. Um, I was going to say, I thought that Matt had a great idea the other day of like, if somebody's new, introducing them to like the coolest member that we know in the gym. Like if
Yeah,
Emmett's hanging out in the gym, be like, this is Emmett. He'll give you beta on anything up to V4.
yeah, that was a good idea.
Oh, wait. You hear me?
Doesn't even-
Welcome back to the Brad and Jesse podcast, where we interview people about people interviewing people about climate change.
Oh my gosh, what a disaster. Well, you know what? It's not a first episode unless there's a complete catastrophe.
Does that mean this is second episode?
Yeah, actually, technically, I think so.
Second episode. Me and Brad we dressed the same as the first, but we just wanted to check back in after the last one.
It's been 11 years since the last time we met.
It's been really good. Chris Sharma's a member now. We put a 1,000-foot addition onto our building, so now we have multi-pitch offerings, bolted
First
multi-pitch.
multi-pitch gym.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
That's hilarious.
Brad-
Well, yeah,
Brad
we were
knows-
just gonna wrap up anyways, so we can just cap this off. So, yeah, I mean, if you guys have one big piece of advice that you would share with other climbing gym owners getting started or people that have been in the business for a little while, what would it be?
Really just being a good person and like, connecting with people is like, it came back to really help. But there's a lot of situations where just knowing someone and the right people kind of helped us get everything done.
At least in our area, one thing that I think is, I guess I would say two things. One is that like maintaining a connection with the outdoor climbing community and scene has been really beneficial for us. And I think that it's easy for gyms, particularly bigger gyms, to be like, this is all that we care about is what's going on at this gym. But I think having a real direction and like obvious care and love for the climbing within the region gives something for everybody to point towards together and something we all share together. I think that helps create that community that's beyond just members and beyond just like, are you a day pass member? Are you a monthly member? It kind of creates a level playing field for everybody because ultimately we all want to do the same thing, which is go outside and play. So I think that's one thing. And I think the other thing is like we follow our passion, our vision of cooking. We're not really following trends so much. So maybe that shows up in like setting, even though it's fun to watch some of the Olympic stuff. We're like, well, we'll put some of that into our setting if we're motivated by it. But a lot of times we're motivated by like what we're climbing locally. And so our climbing at the gym, our route setting at the gym reflects what we're interested in and what's going on locally, rather than some of the trends that are happening in climbing. And so I think that has helped us too. It's just like it's more stable. Yeah, I think it's a
Yeah,
more
you're
stable.
true to your style and your voice. You're
Yeah,
authentic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think most of the people who are climbing in our area, like they're not going to travel outside of like, we can go to Chattanooga, we can go to the Red, we can go to the New, we can go to Boone, and most people aren't going outside of those areas too regularly. And so if our style and our vibe at the gym reflect what's going on in the local climbing scene, it's been really helpful to us. We're a part of something bigger than ourselves.
Yeah. Wow, that's great advice. So where can people follow you to learn more about your gym, see what you're doing?
We are on Facebook and Instagram. We're definitely more active on Instagram. If you send us a message on Facebook, we'll get to it eventually. But we're at Appalachian Bouldering Center on both of those. We got a website. We're on Google Business.
Well, thanks for sharing your stories and sharing some insights. It was awesome chatting with you guys. Hopefully we can do it again in 11 years when you have a 1,000-foot wall.
Sick. That'll be dope. Yeah. That's our 10-year business plan. Yeah.
All right. Thanks again, guys.